Hey guys, I don't even know what time it is there in the States, but I just got up and realized that the auction I have running at Heritage Auctions right now is only up for another hour. So it is sniping time for those who are original art collectors or auction hunters or just fans of mine who are interested in some of my original art that I don't usually like to sell. Uh, Konnichiwa, Andrew J. What's up, TJM? How you guys doing? So yeah, it's at Heritage Auctions right now. I've got a GI Joe versus Transformers cover for the trade paperback dress. Um, I'm sorry, I'm on my phone, so I can't really like share images and stuff. But I don't know if anybody here is one of my mods. Maybe you could find that link and post it up in the chat. Um, Doing things from my phone is really not. Yeah, this is my. I'm drinking vodka straight at 7 o'clock in the morning. um, yeah, so that was basically it. I'd kind of like for somebody to are any of my mods in here? Sorry, my daughter's right here, so I don't want to talk too loud. She's still sleeping. Um, yes, I am just sitting in bed, sitting up in bed. You got to be wore out with all the traveling. Yeah. I mean, I'm not usually. Gosh, I guess I am usually up this early at home, but I woke up like an hour ago. No, no alarm or anything. Just I've been getting up earlier here. Although we are. Yeah, what time is it like on the West Coast right now? Because it's 7:30 in the morning here, and I think 7:30, 7 something, 7:41. So no Smurf smart wrenches. All right. Ken, Jack, Ben, pumpkins for Mike in the morning. I'm gonna need somebody to do this, so I'm gonna have to call one of you guys up to be. Who wants a wrench? Who's gonna do this? Tell me if you've found the link on Heritage. There's actually two. Oh, okay, so it's 2:40 in the 2:40 Pacific time. There's actually two auctions. One of them is that GI Joe versus Transformers cover. The other one is a page from Injustice with Wonder Woman fighting Harley Quinn. So that should do rather well. Um, but I would like to see it do very, very well. So if you guys could find that link, let me know if any of you have found it yet, so you can see how it is doing. And like I said, a little over an hour left. You looking at it? All right, Dread. Andrew, do you have it? What the heck? I can't wrench from my phone? Oh, man. Okay, apparently I can't wrench from my phone. So, anyways, I don't know how easy it is to get to it, but it's at Heritage Auctions, which I think is heritageauctions.com. It might just be heritage.com. I don't know. Um, and then just look up Mike S. Miller. Actually, if you just go to Google and you write Heritage Auctions Mike S. Miller, it'll be one of the links, and it should have both. It was easy for my tweet. Oh, yeah, I did tweet it. I did tweet it. So if you go to my Twitter, which is Abacus Mike, which I think most of you know, man, I cannot get my hair to do anything other than look like some crazy, crazy. My hair looks nuts. Um, yeah, so, I think it worked. I think it worked. Right on. So how you guys doing anyways? How's everybody out there in America land? Today's the day. Cut it off. Oh, the hair. No. Got a haircut, yippee. That's not gonna happen. I may trim some of it pretty soon, but this is Morning Mike. What's up, Kirby? Link posted. Look above in chat. Oh, is it working? Is the link working? So yeah, I'm really hoping that does well today. Last hour, that's the telling hour, right? Yeah, I'm still in Japan. I'm at my uncle's house. Just chilling, relaxing. I should probably go downstairs and get some food on. Are you going to auction off one of your heritages? No, your Heritage Auctions is one of the largest. I don't know. It's kind of like the Sotheby's of comics. So they have a lot of very, very expensive, you know, like early, like Hulk 181 with in like a 9.8, or you know, super rare and valuable pages of comic art. And I was like, I had no idea they'd be interested in any of my stuff. So I asked them to if they would be, and they were. So I got them that stuff. I got them about 14 pages. These are the first two that are going, and I really want disoriented, disoriented. Ha 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 ha. No. I'm really hoping they do well. If they do really well, um, then I'll continue to feed them. And if it's the best way to actually get what my art is worth, because that's why I generally don't sell art, because it's very difficult to find the right buyer for the right piece, right? Because too often people buy stuff, people sell stuff for far less than it's worth. But you find the right buyer, the right home for a piece, and you get the right price. It's it's nice. It's nice to get what you think your art is worth. And I'm not an artist that is willing to undersell myself, you know, to make a couple hundred extra bucks at a convention. Um, I know a lot of guys are. I know a lot of guys will just, it's like, they'll just blow through pages that I'm like, dude, that page is going to be worth, you know, the price of a car in a couple decades. You could tell with this stuff. And still they sell it for like 3, 4, 500 bucks. I mean, these are like great, great pages. But I'm like, I mean, look at the art market. Look how it is now. How the earlier pages are, you know, worth thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, right? Um, and I understand it's because of the rarity. It's obviously it's original art, so they're one-offs. They're one of a kind. Um, but also because the people who grew up reading them as children now are adults uh, with extra income, and now they can afford to like try to it's like buying back a piece of their childhood, an original piece of their childhood. I don't hear any J-pop. Do you know? Do you love it? It's not all as horrible as it was. Uh, Looks like most 90s to now pages goes for around $200. Right. 80s pages, however, can go for thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. In a decade, those 90s pages will be going, it's like classic cars, right? After a while they go down and down and then they skyrocket. But my consideration nowadays is that uh, you not only have that situation sort of the classic market situation. Now you have a huge percentage of artists moving into digital art. So they're not even going to have original art to sell. So those of us who maintain the original, sorry, John Malin, but those of us who maintain doing art on paper, that art may end up being the rarity for this decade, right? So, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I grant Malin and everybody that it is much easier to do work digitally, right? It's much easier. Um, but I don't want to lose that original art market. And most people working purely digital should do 2 to 4 pages per book traditionally, or at least the covers. At least the covers. They should maintain their covers digitally or physically. But yeah, I think so. They should, but they don't. Right? And so yeah, that's why I hold on. I hold on to my work. I mean, I've got pieces that are covers and stuff that in a few years are going to be. Hey, Chester's messaging me. Um, are going to be hitting the that dude. I've got 25-year-old artwork, published work. I mean, it sucks, but the older I get, the more of my older stuff is going to be hitting that classics range. So, um, but yeah, I've got friends. I've got friends who were working in the '80s who have those pages, and they're like, "Yeah, man, I sold it for." I talked to John Beatty, and he's like, he had I was telling him all of this stuff I'm telling you, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm one of those guys." He's all, I sold the cover for I sold a Captain America cover for $350, I think he said, in like the '90s, right? And now it trades for tens of thousands of dollars. Um, I don't want to be one of those guys, and I can sit down and squirt out a headshot for $100. Takes me 15 minutes, right? I have some pages that would sell on the. I mean, obviously, I could sell them very well for a couple $100. Um, but it drives me nuts. I'm like, dude, I spent 10, 12 hours on this page and put all this time and effort and love into it, and I could squirt out a couple of headshots in a half an hour and make just as much. No, I'm not selling that. I will not sell it. Yeah, there's no original art market in Tokyo. I sold lots of commissions. I did lots of commissions, and like I said, I could do a headshot in 15 minutes and make $100 on it. So Akibara. No, we haven't done anything other than eat and convention. So the next couple days we're going to be seeing some stuff in Japan. But yeah, nothing yet. Nothing yet. Um, did you still have that Superman Joker killing Joker page from Injustice? No, Star, and that's what started me on this whole thing, man. Was I sold that page for what I considered, because they were only half-page splashes in Injustice. Everything's like the most you can get is a half-page splash, and I was like, oh, a half-page splash shouldn't be worth more than like $500, right? And so I sell that page for $500. I see it on eBay for $2,500, like very shortly after. And the guy, I talked to the guy. He ended up flipping it for an offer of $1,700. And that's what I'm talking about. Finding the right buyer for the right piece, because that drove me nuts, and that kind of pissed me off. Um, I mean, I was happy for the guy, but it made me really reconsider this whole market for myself. So, um, yeah, going with someone like Heritage might make sense, but it depends on how these pieces I gave them do. I mean, I have so much art, I can afford to let them experiment with 14 pieces, but how can you do that if you have 6,000 pages of original art? Um, I don't need to sell it. I don't need to sell it all. I really don't. Let me get into a lazy reclining position here. Yeah, that looks bad. But yeah, so that's where I am on the original art thing. So those of you who are new, who haven't seen recently, can you check out Heritage Auctions? Go and the link is on my Twitter, or you can check it out. Just Google Heritage Auctions Mike S. Miller, and you should be able to find it. Kirby, it was Stanley Archermlau. He would have expensive artist to hire. Wait, what are you asking? What did Kirby ask? Oh, that was a cool sketchbook you showed off 2 days ago. I could not hear the artist's name. Yeah, it was Stanley Archermlau. Well, just Archerm. I hope you get him to do a cover for you. I talked to an artist, a legend. I don't want to mention who it is because of, gosh darn it, did I already mention this online? I hope not, because I don't want people to try to submarine this deal. But I'm gonna work with him on a cover for the next Lone Star, and it is gonna be epic, so epic. No one wanted original art. Yeah, it's commission crazy. Oh my gosh, Ryan Benjamin had a non-stop line of commissions. It was crazy. He's got this whole Japan network dialed. Been going to this show for 3 years. So like when you do shows regularly, you build up a customer base that they come back every year. They want like, oh, I got a commission from you last year. I want one this year. I want one that. So he's got this line like the whole time. It's rad. It's rad to see. But as far as the original art, no, the actual original page market here is like non-existent. And I was talking to an art dealer because the mangaka, the guys that do the manga here, it's all their own books, right? So they hold on to it. They don't sell their original pages, and so there's no art market here for originals, uh, which seems funny that you'd have them here, and that, yeah. Anyways, um, but yeah, it's interesting. What were they making people draw? I did just a ton of Joker and Venom, and then a few Batmans. Venom, Joker, Batman, Wonder Woman, Catwoman. Yeah, stuff like that. Stuff like that. How do you get started doing that, Mike, for someone like me, Mike? Started doing what? Conventions or drawing or comics or what? I like the fact that they keep their originals. Yeah, I mean, and I keep my originals. So I guess I'm very Japanese that way. But yeah, Heritage Auctions, Mike S. Miller. Please do check it out. It should have about an hour left now. Can I commission a headshot of Vanilla Ice going, yep, yep? Are you going to visit the Miyazaki Museum in Tokyo? Oh man, that's a good idea. I don't know if you can get in. I wonder if my buddy Philip could get me in. He knows somebody that knows somebody. Eden, there's a Miyazaki. Oh, she's asleep. Um, hey, can anybody check on the heritage auctions and see if it's even moved? It's about at the last hour, so I think I don't know when the snipers start hitting, but I'd like to see it doing a little better. Make a video rating an art supply store. Oh, yeah, I need to find an art supply store here. Just stock up on pens and stuff. Still at 400. Still at 400. What about the other one? The injustice page. I'll wait for you to answer, my peoples. My people. My people. Hey, Jiminy Cricket dropped the link in there. All right, fantastic. 200 for the interior. Oh, they're gonna kill me if this. I'm not. Yeah. We'll see. Do Game of Thrones even fans even buy stuff? Yeah, yeah, they do. They do. Uh, it's hard to get in the museum without previously buying tickets. Con there in Japan there, Mike. Oh, how do you get to into the con in Japan? You actually, from what I understand, you actually have to have a Japanese sponsor. So you have to have someone here, someone that lives here, contact the convention for you, and get get you registered or whatever. So good luck. I'd have my cousin do it, but now that I know the guy directly, I can talk to him about next year. I think I would like to do it again. It has been exhausting, but it's been a good show, and the fans here are just incredible. Um, yeah, I mean they do treat their I don't know. Manga's so huge here. I know you guys have probably heard me say it once or twice already, but manga's so huge here that a lot of the fans they treat us like real celebrities. Real celebrities. Like I always say, there's no famous comic book artist in America. I always say there's only one famous comic book creator in America, and that's Stan Lee, right? Totally not the case in Japan. They're like legit famous comic book creators here, manga creators. So you're the reason I got into the Song of Fight, Ice and Fire novels back in the early zeros. All right, right on, Joe. Glad to hear that. Well, then you should go. Oh wait, I don't have a Game of Thrones piece up there. I do have a Game of Thrones piece that will launch. The auction will launch tomorrow. Oh, today, and it'll go till next Sunday. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, please do bid early, bid often, and let's get these heritage auctions to be someplace like valuable. Mike, can you sponsor me? I don't live in Japan. So no, I cannot. I'm from Greece. I'm broke. Right, but you could early bid it to just make it go up. Lord Blackwolf. Tyrion on the Iron Throne. No, actually, the one I have for sale is Ned getting beheaded. It'll go up today. Japanese appreciation for beauty. Well, the manga market here is completely different than the comic market in America, because the comic market in America in the 50s, you had that whole kerfuffle about what was that stupid book that guy did? Corruption of the Innocent. I think that was what it was called. And there were congressional hearings on how comic books were corrupting our youth. And so the Comics Code was created, but here's the thing: is that it was this weird catch-22 thing. Like, the Comics Code was created to protect the kids from the comics, and then all of those adult comics, like the ones that the adults were reading, like crime, westerns, whatever else, they fell out of favor with the population because, oh, now comics are just for kids. So we created this comics are just for kids culture. So after a few decades of that, only kids were reading comics. Well, then the problem was, at that point, um, we got in the 90s, we got rid of the comics code, and people are like, oh yeah, we can do whatever we want in comics now. So they started aging up the comics, but we were already in a position where only kids read comics. So now we got stuck with only the kids that grew up with comics read comics as the comics aged, and so it aged up the entire marketplace, right? So now comics are almost uniquely uh, 30, 40 something people reading kids comics, superheroes, right? That never happened in Japan. So the comic market remained alive, remained thriving. They have comics for sushi chefs. They have comics for people who play golf. They have comics for they have comics here for everyone at every stage of life, and most people here read comics, manga. Um, so it's a totally different culture in comics. Chuck Dixon is on audio saying neglect from the publishers killed adventure western sci-fi horror comics in the late 70s. Um, I'm sure that's part of the functionality of, you know, the kids comics were what were making the money, right? Um, but it was because of the Comics Code Authority, right? And who's going to want to read? I mean, the books that were targeted towards the adults but had to qualify under the Comics Code, so they were making adult targeted books on but written for kids because of the Comics Code. And so you couldn't service the adult market. Um, and if you can't service the adult market, then the adult market shrinks, and therefore the publishers aren't going to bother making it. So yeah, they would neglect that part of the market because nobody's buying it. um, but Chuck was there. He's probably got a more hands-on experience of it. He's an older guy than I am, so uh, yeah. And then underground comics, yeah, those underground comics were what? They were non-comics code, but the damage had been done in the 50s and the 60s already to the industry. So um, it seems like a long thing that started in the 50s and the death of the other genres that ended in the very early 80s. Yeah, and then it became a. Am I sitting on the? Does this look like a bathroom to you? Are you kidding me? Um, current bid is 400. Is that good? No, that is not good. Um, I would bid it. I would outbid myself if it was it stayed at 400. Do we really need the Comics Code Authority anymore? Well, here's the thing. You service the Comics Code Authority hasn't been a thing in 90 years, but they failed. I think the Comics Code Authority as a voluntary thing is a good idea. Um, but doing it mandatorily is, I think, it was detrimental to the industry as a whole. Um, but DJD, the Comics Code, it's not a joke. Uh, how do I put this? If you want to get kids back into comics, you have to make sure you abide certain guidelines that make them available to children, and then make them something that parents can trust to give to their children. That does not mean you have to obligatorily make the entire industry follow the Comics Code guidelines or a guideline such as the Comics Code. I very much would follow and do follow a comics code type guideline when I create books. I'm not interested in I want to write books that are intelligent, um, but not intellectually mature, but not like mature. You know what I'm saying? Um, I want books that everybody can read. Comics for all ages, for every age. You know, not all age comics, but comics that I'd feel safe giving any kid, um, but that any adult would enjoy. That's the idea for me. That's the ideal for me. Yeah, not Batwang. No Batwangs allowed. No intersectional trans feminist bullcrap. Um, no, no, no left-wing political agendas. Um, the problem is that progressive leaders in a position to coordinate corporate power and in the regulars. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm not doing the less than zero graphic novel. What do I think of Dragon Ball Z? I'm not a fan of Dragon Ball Z. I don't know. The episodes that I've watched, and I've watched a few, were just, um, I didn't like the animation, and I thought the story was terrible. So, maybe I caught a batch of bad episodes. I don't know, but it wasn't worth my time. What I saw made me sure I didn't want to go back and watch the rest of it. So I think that it is not good to overprotect the children. You can't overprotect children. You can protect children, or you can not protect children. There's no such thing as overprotecting children. Um, all right, let me block Nasser here real quick. Put user in timeout. Dragon Ball Z is the primary superhero saga the whole bunch of kids grew up with due to being on Cartoon Network constantly. Basically fixed the problem. Good amount of episodes and cleaned up the animation. Ha 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 ha. Poor Nasser. Dragon Ball is way better in manga than anime. Oh, is it? Is it? So, let's see. I don't know that I want to be here the whole time pimping the auction. I don't think any of you guys are actually bidding on it. I don't, and I can't sit here in this bed for another hour as we go through, waiting to see how the auction ends. But I certainly hope that it gets up there. I'm pretty sure it's going to do better than $400. I know on eBay. I know that on eBay, it's like the last 5 minutes where the snipers come in and just bump 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 bump. But I don't know. I've never watched a heritage auction. So has anybody here ever watched a heritage auction? The Comics Code is a guide for anything not a teenager. Have you read the Comics Code? Most of it makes a lot of sense. Some of it is 37 minutes left. Yeah, in manga. I have. I wait until the last 10 seconds before I snipe. And then you hope that your computer doesn't glitch out on you, right? I get all my opinions from David Hogg. Oh, gosh. I thought that was Nasser writing that, Razdog. I never like what it did to comics. Yeah, I don't like what it wasn't the Comics Code that did it to the comics, though. It was it was like the hearings, right? And the whole public outcry against comics corrupting our children. That's what it was. The Comics Code was a means of dealing with that hysteria and trying to convince parents that comics were safe for their children. It's like, hey, look, we're going to abide this code, So all of this hysteria that this one jackass with this one book wrote and tried to destroy the medium. So honestly, the Comics Code itself could have saved comics. Um, the distributors collapsed after the hearings. That's what really took down the industry, right? And so the Comics Code, in reality, saved comics because it made it safe for kids to read comics. But then again, um, it made comics a children's medium, which again, they did not have that problem here. So everybody reads comics, and comic creators are uh, actual celebrities here. So the whole controversy about Batman's partial nudity is not a big deal. Yeah, that's because this country has gone into a moral cesspool since the 50s. So I sold some art in one, and the bids come in the last few minutes. Great. 37 minutes left. 37. Is that what you said? Um. On eBay, I found you had the first discover how to involve the auto bids within decided places. Blah blah blah. The controversy about Batman Damned was built in by DC. The average Joe doesn't even know it happened. DC and the comics press teaming up to sell books. Yeah, I mean, getting press and controversy and stuff has kind of been what Marvel and DC have been trying to do since the death of Superman. They saw that mass media money, and they have not looked back since. You know, when the death of Superman happened, and comics were for the first time in however long on CNN and I don't know newspapers and whatnot. Yeah, it's crazy. The code constantly changed. Does Heritage have a YouTube page? I don't know. You feeling unappreciated, Mike? You would have never been blacklisted over there. Huh? No, I wouldn't. I would not have been blacklisted over here. Doing away with the comics code 15 years ago, I think, has been the beginning of the end. It was everyone's chance to be juvenile. Yeah, rather than mature comics, and then broaden your base by maintaining a growth for kids, making comics that kids can really be into, everything just went crazy. Freaking, and it's like Dark Knight, Watchmen, even Wild Cards, which wasn't even a comic, but it was based on comic characters. They created this new ethos in the comics industry of trying to mature everything, deconstruction of the hero. Um, I don't know. It was this is where we started losing the youth, and the readers back then. Um, at least the older ones were like, yeah. Now we can finally have comics grow up with us, and it's like great, but you aged up the entire industry, and now kids never go into comic book stores. The only kids that go into comic book stores now are kids whose parents read comics and bring them into comic book stores. Um, Bidding wars are stupid when you're a buyer, but great when you're a seller. Yeah, well, that's how you find who really wants your piece, as long as they know about it. I mean, that's the thing, is like Joe Schmo collector out there could have no idea. He could be the world's largest G.I. Joe versus Transformers fan, and a fan of mine. All all the things necessary for this auction to go crazy, and he could just not know about it. And so that's the scary thing. So some people think the Comics Code forced the comics to hook by story instead of gory. I don't understand what you mean, Sketch. If we had more minorities as lead character... shut up, Nasser. Can you just stop that? Archie comics went down the toilet. I can't even buy them for my nieces and nephews now. Yeah. Should I kick Nasser again? Timeout. Yeah. mean, even Archie, right? Comicsgate may need to look into kids' comics as well, like Casper or other kid-friendly characters. No. Because if you're going back in time, then what you're trying to do is you're trying to feed off of nostalgia. And no kids today are going to be like, oh man, Casper. So if you're going to license stuff, you're going to have to, you're going to license stuff and you want to get kids back into comics, then you have to target things like My Little Pony, Adventure Time. And there are already companies doing those things. But you have to go where the kids are. You can't drag kids kicking and screaming into the comic book industry. And those books do well. IDW sells a crap ton of My Little Pony. Why do you say these things, Nasser, when you know that I will kick you for it? The mall died is my example. Everything is bought on the internet now. Yeah, malls aren't doing great. Looking great, my God. I'm not even out of bed. I need to take a shower. I mean, legit, I'm like laying in bed or sitting up in bed. I'm the target market for your sketch, and I just can't drop $400 on it. Well, Hikaru, it's gonna go higher than that. So, sorry. Comic books have to evolve at last. Yeah, Sketch made a good point. If he didn't still have Sleepyhead, did he? Sorry, I do have Sleepyhead. Kick in a disguise, that is literally late night comics waiting to clip something he can take out of context. Oh, is it really? In a disguise? That's a smart thing. Nasser got kicked twice on the stream. Oh yeah, it won't be the last time either. Kick Nasser always. We tried to kick him from his own stream. Okay, Sketch. Let me try to read this again. Before the comics code, comics had a lot of gore and horror instead of good storytelling. Some people think the code forced people to make a better story instead of counting on gore and shock. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were. I mean, like, yeah, you had a lot of crime drama and horror comics and whatnot, and they were big business. But the comics code, yeah, the comics code hobbled those books for that market. I mean, I get it. When you have, if they had just said, "Hey, look, these comics aren't for kids," right? If they'd have gone that way and said, "But here, these superhero comics are more or less for kids." If they had just done something smart like that, instead of brandishing the comics code on the entire industry, they did the rated PG rated. They did a rating system. The comics could have been a much healthier creature for a good long time. My Little Ponies for grown men. It's all the bronies, man. The bronies. Hello from Bosnia and Herzegovina, Andrej. What's up, Andrej? Nasser, kicked in Japan. One thing that really hurt comics is the soap opera style of writing over multiple issues. They got away from having great single issue stories. There's a place for that, but doing it constantly is just, yeah. Where can I find a bibliography of the GRRM, A Song of Ice and Fire books you've drawn? It's not that hard. I did the covers, or a cover for every single issue of A Game of Thrones, and A Clash of Kings, and I did the Hedge Knight, the Sworn Sword, and the Mystery Knight. As far as books go, that's it. I did the cover of, oh, what book was that? wild cards. I did the cover for one of the wild cards novels. I can't remember the name of it though. Aces High? It might have been Aces High. My Little Phony, isn't that an old IP? Yeah, it is an old IP. But see, they brought it back. Cartoon Network brought it back. And so My Little Pony became a big thing again. I mean, huge. And then IDW grabbed the license from Hasbro because they were already doing Transformers. And boom, yeah, big money there. Some had both gore and good writing. Vault and Crypt were both generally quite good. Yeah, and then even in the 80s when you had like, oh, I forget. There were some great horror comics in the 80s, but they were not Comics Code comics, right? I mean, that's all you had to do was get away, just divide. It's all history. There's nothing. That's all in the past. All we can do is learn from the past and try to avoid those mistakes in the future. So, comics had no code, but still have Belgian comics had no code, but still have great stories. Yeah, I mean the code. So, for me, the code it allows you to work within a sandbox. I don't think. I mean, some people work fine being free, doing whatever they want, but it working within boundaries forces you to be a little more creative sometimes. So, top-notch writers working for them like Ray Bradbury. Your video games had the same fight with people thinking all games were for kids and decrying games for adults like GTA, but things have swung too far now, and video games are starting to be a cesspool. What killed them is leaving normal retail and going to specialty shops. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's that's what stopped feeding the hobby. You have to bring in fresh meat. You have to be out there, getting the kids hooked on the comics, which means you have to go where the kids are. Yeah, that's a whole nother problem. For those who are here who are new, I have an auction closing in, I don't know what, 20 minutes or something like that on heritageauctions.com or heritage. I don't know. Drop the link in. Somebody will drop the link in. Or you can just Google Heritage Auctions, Mike S. Miller. I've got two pieces up. One is the cover of G.I. Joe versus Transformers. The other one is a page from Injustice. I don't even know what issue it's from. But it's Harley Quinn and Wonder Woman fighting. So some people might be interested in that. Also, the Meg and Lone Star are still up, so they're in the description if you want to check them out. Hope you guys begin to get recognized like European artists whose art is their nations. Mézières, Giraud, Pego, Breitweiser, S. Miller. What's for Rex? Probably eggs and sausage. What type of movie always equals Doom? Rare chance. Yeah, Jiminy's got the links up there. So, did you know Archie is trans now? I'm pretty sure that's not true. Your Game of Thrones pages are on Comic Art Fans. Some of them. Yeah. 25 minutes left to bid on the Heritage Auctions. Have they gone up at all, or are people seriously waiting for the last 30 seconds? This is what makes me so pensive about freaking putting stuff up on auction. I'm not saying I'm for or against. I'm repeating what others who study that era have said about it. I wouldn't surprise me. They made Jughead asexual. They made Jughead asexual. What killed comics was what? Not in the show. I think they're talking about the comics. What? Yeah, but hasn't he always been? No, Jughead has not always been asexual.
Not like.
No,
say
it is no, Eden. What killed comics was leaving the magazine rack. Yeah. It was definitely a nail in the coffin. No fans left under 60. Diamond Comics Cartel killed comics. Yeah, there's a lot of nails in the coffin. So really learning what all that is. If we are going to reinvigorate this industry, we do need to learn from all those errors. So, let's see if I can go all the way to the bottom here. Movie ratings all seem to be somewhat arbitrary. Well, they're supposed to have certain rules. Some rules that don't really make sense. Like you can have a rated PG movie, but you can have one F-bomb in it. Or is it PG-13? PG-13. It's like, if you're going to have one F-bomb, what's the difference? It's like, eggs and sausage in Japan, or are you back home? I wasn't there at the start. Yeah, in Japan. I try just to eat a protein breakfast, so eggs and sausage it is for me. Maybe some yogurt. People are smart. They will wait until the last few minutes and seconds to bid. You're killing me. How much time do we have left now? It drives me nuts on eBay when people have bidding more with 6 days to go. Do you all want to pay more? I want y'all to pay more. I want to get a maximum for my pieces. Yeah, if the ones I gave them don't do well, then obviously I'm not gonna offer any more stuff through there, and I'll just hold on to my stuff until I die. It's not being greedy either. It's just me not. I value my work more than sometimes the market will bear. So if I don't need the money, and granted sometimes I do need the money, and I don't have a network set up to funnel that stuff out. But if I'm in a situation where I don't need the money desperately, yeah, I guess that is a weird thing. You'd need to create a network of buyers in order to get enough money from the things like when I was losing my house, or when I was behind on my mortgage. I could have just blown all this stuff out on eBay, but it would have been like pennies on the dollar, right? Oh my gosh, that would have killed me. Because it's my art, it's what I've been spending all this time on. It's my life's blood. Thank God, yeah. There's no death tax in America anymore. How can we get Don Jr. to see this auction? Tag him tag him on Twitter. Post it up on Twitter and tag him. Oh, yeah, tag everybody. Like, everybody who was involved in G.I. Joe, everybody who was involved in Transformers. Just go share the auction and tag everybody on Twitter real quick. Hold your fire and wait. Why drive up the bids unnecessarily? Of course. I'm saying that as a buyer, as a seller. I'd want more people to bid on it. Yeah. I got over $200. I was glad for the bidding war for my Walking Dead second print. That got it over $200. I hope you're getting lots of commissions. I know con work is hard work. You must have calluses on your pen hand. I did a lot of commissions. It was good. It was good. But yeah, they're done. I don't have any for after the show, which is good because I wouldn't want to deal with that. Nasser, no, I did not watch your latest video. Nasser, I don't watch your videos. Why would I do that? I get enough of you on my stream and on my Twitter. Alright, how much time we got left? Give me a countdown clock, guys. Looks like I might just sit here through the whole thing. I was only planning on being on here for a few minutes, and now it's almost an hour. 15:45. Okay. I'll watch your video, Nasser. Sketch, you don't have to kiss up to Nasser, man. Yeah, dude, I ain't got time to watch my own videos, so. But I do sometimes. I don't. You know, I make so many videos. Where is your Asian Women of Cosplay Japan 18 video? I didn't do one. And I shan't be. I'm sure there are other YouTube channels you could find that have that. Nasser's video need to be quarantined away from them. Yes, that is fine. Oh man. How much of a percentage does Heritage take? Oh, that's the very nice thing about Heritage. If you are the artist, they only take 5%. If you are a art dealer and you have something you want to put on Heritage, they take more. So it's nice as an artist when you provide stuff to Heritage directly. It's cheaper than eBay, I think. Good evening from Sweden. How is everything going? I'm turning 38 today, and I love Transformers and lots of comics too. I collect them and have a good amount. Will never stop with comics or games. Anders, that's fantastic. Good evening. Yes, well, go bid on my Transformers thing then. I don't know if you've noticed. Put the link up again for the Transformers auction. Oh no, it says my battery's low. Oh no! Plus a buyer's premium of 20%. What? You're missing an airing of a very Brady Christmas. I hope Japan was worth it. Yeah, Japan's great, man. My daughter's been loving it. She loves everything Japan. I have faith. I know that one day, Nasser will lick the butter, and then we'll sing the butter song together. Nasser has to eat the butter. The butter. Heart feeling. Butter. Link appear. Yeah, where's the link, man? Jiminy Cricket. You're snoozing. You're snoozing. You're snoozing, Jiminy. Where's my link? Sierra Whiskey. Can't drop links driving. Must survive. Oh, killing me, man. All right, well, for those who are new, if you Google Heritage Auctions, Mike S. Miller Transformers, you'll see the Transformers one. If you just do Mike S. Miller, then you'll also see the Injustice link. But yeah, there are two pieces up. Thank you, Jiminy. Thank you, Jiminy. It's time for you to move there to Japan. I don't know. I think my daughter wants to move here. She nods. Oh, the bloop sounds. Yeah, what are the bloop sounds? That is a lack of dedication, Sierra. I'm gonna agree with Razdoc, Sierra. You are not dedicated enough to be my wrench. I must take your wrench away. So yeah, what are we at about? Let's see, how long ago was that? We were at 15 minutes. I didn't want to be here till the end, and now I'm kind of scared. 15:45's 8:34, and is now 8:38, so we have about 11 minutes left. Was there a competition to pick which kid came with you? No, I kind of just picked Eden. I thought she would be the one who appreciated it the most. Elijah, my oldest, doesn't like to travel. Isaac wanted to come. He was the most jealous of the kids. Um, Micah probably would have been mad that he couldn't bring his video games. Jojo would have wanted to come, but heck no. Heck no. No. Long distance time markers. I used to get them from landlines using the ocean cables. What? 1,099 children were very disappointed. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. 10 minutes to go. 10 minutes to go. Are you guys all sharing these auctions out? Please do. Get it out there. Just tag whoever you can. You have to be my army of what do you call it? Marketeers. Mike's Marketeers. 10 minutes left. Don't miss this opportunity to get some of Scrooge McMiller's original paint. Oh, thanks, Jiminy. You're. Don't feel like chasing your kids. Whoa! Kids around Japan. No, I don't really feel like chasing my kids around Japan. No, Isaac and Micah are what they call Irish twins. They're born so close together that a lot of people ask if they're twins. And I don't know why they're called Irish twins. Maybe it's probably... I'm sure that saying has some root in racism. But I think it's fun. Almost makes me wish I was on any social media site so I could share it. Almost. I like extra mellow, Mike. Mike hasn't even put socks on yet, Mike. Have you seen the Ainu? When I look in the mirror, brother. When I look in the mirror. 9 minutes. Something to do with their dad using potato tech. Let me see here. Getting an update from San Jose. Oh, also, yeah, for those of you, dang it, my phone is actually ticking down here. For those of you in San Jose, I do have prints at the San Jose Comic-Con being sold by my buddy John. So that's still going on today over there. It's already Monday here. Irish twins because they had more kids than others and in between the 2-year mark. Yeah, I kind of figured. It was like today you'd probably say Mexican twins. Right? Or in Europe you'd say Muslim twins. But yeah, I think the term Irish twins in America probably came from a time when the Irish were proliferating much quicker than the other population. What is it about this I don't know what majority weird thing where people aren't having kids? I mean, Japan, America, Europe, the majority population, they're not even replacing themselves. It's annoying. Oh, you want me to turn my sounds off on the phone? Yeah, let me do that. All right. Only one guy I know who likes buying original art and commissions. Sorry, I can't share. Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, if any of you know any art collectors, then just let them know what's going on. Is there a reserve price or sell at any price? It's a sell at any price. So I'm good or I'm screwed. We'll find out in what, 8 minutes, something like that. Originally used in the 19th century to mock the fertility of Irish families, referencing the stereotype that they have children in quicker succession. Racism. They're Irish twins. Don't know about your pieces, but the John Colin Murphy Big Ben bold strips look great. Oh, thank you, Mark.
I appreciate you complimenting someone else. Mormon twins. Maybe. Um, Thank you, Jiminy, for putting up the link. It's the me generations. Yeah, people so concerned about having 3 large screen TVs that they don't realize that they're choking off their own future. Because you know what, those big screen TVs and that 500 series Mercedes, they're not gonna love you when you're older. They're not gonna hold your hand when you die. Uh, it's not a majority population thing. It's an intelligence and wealth thing. Oh, intelligence. Is it more intelligent to only have one child? I think that's um, I think that's foolish, frankly. Kids are expensive. I can only work like 18 hours a day without dying. Kids are expensive, but like I said, where do you want to put your money? In an S series Mercedes or in having another child? Kids are the best. I'd rather be broke with 5 kids than living in a mansion in La Jolla, driving my fantasy car. It's there's no question there. Oh no, what's happening?